This video is sponsored by Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve is the adult store giant that has been around for ages and has been in business for over 45 years. They're supplying you guys with code HONEST for 50% off one item, plus free shipping in the US and Canada. Some exclusions may apply. They have 24/7 customer service, a 90-day no-hassle return, and are known for their extensive run in the adult store industry. Camila Cabello has had an interesting few years, coming out with a successful and effective debut in 2018, then barely hanging on with her follow-up in 2019 titled Romance, which some consider a sophomore slump. I am one of those people who certainly do. Yes, it had a supermassive hit like Señorita, but it didn't have much else. Overall, it was a steep decline from her debut album in quality and consistency. Not that her debut album was spectacular or good, but it had hints of promise. I feel like her debut album is mostly faceless in the same way that a lot of 2010s EDM era pop was faceless, where you had these massive hits sung by artists who had competent radio voices and fit the sound of the beats, but not much personality to do much else. Yet Camila was the leader of her group, aka Fifth Harmony, so she did have some type of advantage to connect with audiences that other artists coming into a solo career with a big song do not have. However, it's become kind of clear to me that Camila is not that special of an artist, or special at all, not even when she was in a group. I mean, Fifth Harmony alone is one of the worst mainstream girl groups in recent history, but Camila was pushed to be the solo star, and I think that's because she had a distinctive, but albeit mostly annoying voice. And it was clear more than the other girls that she wanted to be the leader. But I think in the grand scheme of things as an artist, the group was essential in helping Camila stand out, in the same way the Pussycat Dolls are essential to helping Nicole Scherzinger stand out. That kind of branding can be really effective. Not everyone is Beyonce, and not everyone has the willpower to be an effective solo star. Retrospectively analyzing her career, I think Camila also suffered from the song being bigger than the artist. You know, the big generic smash hit you hear on the radio, but the artist doesn't command your attention outside of the song, or have a style distinctive enough to set them apart. Now, this isn't a hurdle that hasn't been conquered historically. Most notably, I would say Rihanna managed to do this very well. Pon de Replay was much bigger than her as a name and artist, and she had all the makings of a one-hit wonder, but she came into her own with 2008's Good Girl Gone Bad. And Good Girl Gone Bad was still radio pop, but she emerged into a style that garnered her more attention. More recently would be Lil Nas X with Old Town Road. Now honestly, Old Town Road is the last thing I think of when I think of Lil Nas X. He went through a drastic change, and I think being controversial helped that. I think he's shown what he's about as an artist in his music and videos, and that's being playful. When it comes to Camila, that type of watershed moment has never really occurred, and her songs are still bigger than her as an artist, while her hit songs are. She's a singles artist through and through, and I think throughout her career she's come close to settling on a style aesthetically and sonically, but instead she opts to take on so many directions and styles that it feels like an artistic identity crisis rather than versatility. She can go from a song that sounds like an old J-Lo throwaway, a Rihanna throwaway, a Sia throwaway, to something completely indistinguishable. I think the romance singles highlight that. She released 7 singles, completely different styles. There's just not much consistency, and Camila doesn't have the personality prevalent in her music to effectively pull off such a wide array of styles. Controversies aside, Camila's music just tends to be so-so or background music. Not all of it, but majority of it. Which leads us to Familia. It's a hodgepodge of different styles. Although it does show Camila more in tune with Latin music and Latin sounds, and for the most part it shows signs of a cohesive image. It falters quickly. It has highlights like Don't Go Yet and Bam Bam with Ed Sheeran, which if nothing else are at least catchy, but ultimately the album is safe and unmemorable. The album debuted at number 10 and left the charts altogether within 11 weeks. In most cases, pop stars in their prime tend to have a shelf life of 3 to 4 albums when it comes to being plastered everywhere and being frequently heard on the radio, and Familia is Camila's 3rd album. I think it is kind of distinctive as opposed to what's playing on the radio at this moment with the 80s revival, but I don't think the material is strong enough to really pull through. And on the other hand, it's a bit too generic and safe to actually garner the acclaim or support of a strong cult following. I do think Familia was supposed to be kind of like her Thank You Next moment,
being that most of the songs seem to allude to her relationship and breakup with Shawn Mendes. But the writing on the album is so generic, it doesn't really command you to care. Not to mention Camila's voice, which hasn't shown much development throughout her albums. You know, overall the music just isn't that good. I do think there is a hint of what might come for Camila's music career in the near future. She has always employed Latin sounds and references into most of her music, and Familia is no different. In fact, it's the album that embraces her heritage the most. And 3 out of 12 of the tracks on the album are completely sung in Spanish, which leads me to believe that Camila could be setting herself up to do a Latin crossover and pull a Becky G. I do think we're in an interesting time period right now where acts like Bad Bunny and Cardi B, for example, get to simultaneously gain recognition and popularity in both English and Spanish-speaking territories. So I wouldn't be surprised if Camila pivots fully into Latin music, and perhaps that will garner her more visibility. 3 albums in, and Camila appears to still be struggling to resonate. But to her credit, she has put in work and seems to be the most passionate about music out of all the members from Fifth Harmony.